George,
Hey, Corey, how are you?
welcome to the Access Hospitality Podcast.
Thanks. It's my honor to be there.
You went to Notre Dame. What resonates more with you, Rudy or play like a champion today?
Play like a champion today.
How come?
Well, it's a great motto to live your life by. Obviously, it's one of those things that you aspire to do on a daily basis. It's a motto. I actually have it hanging in my garage, and I tap the sign every day as I walk out the door to come to work. So it's a great question.
Along the same lines of Notre Dame and Rudy and play like a champion today, we've come to know each other quite well over the last, 6 years. The word I would best use to describe you is heart. You have an infectious love of life. You lead with your heart. And I'm curious, where did that come from? Is it your family, a coach, a mentor?
I believe that comes from a mixture of a lot of different things. Obviously, family is the most important thing in my life, along with my faith and my belief in people. Sometimes I look at people on a regular basis, and you always think about what goes on in their lives, and you try and be empathetic with people. And I think that's where the heart part comes in. It's something that resonates with me on a regular basis. My family really is important to me, as you know, and I get up every day, come to work, and family is not just inclusive of my immediate family, but my family here at work. That is truly important to me. I always tell people that when I introduce them to our business, or they come in here and they walk the shop floor and they get to see all the people here, and they can see the number of people that have been here for 20, 30 plus years. I even have one that's been here for 40 years. He's like a brother to me. It allows me to be able to have special relationships with each of them. What makes that, what you're calling heart, something that is evident in everything that I do. And whether it be my love for my family, my love for the company, I have a great network of friends, and a lot of those went to Notre Dame. In fact, I just got back late last night from the funeral of one of my college roommates' mothers. And I sat in a pew at church yesterday and looked down the line, and there were 7 of us sitting in the pew to send off his mom. And there's something to be said about that. If you live your life and you wear your heart on your sleeve and interact with people in a way that everyone's going to be winners, it's something that you can lay your head on the pillow and say, I've made a difference in not only people's lives, but in the community in which I live.
Speaking of the 40-year employee, was that our friend Mark?
It is.
Mark is the best.
Mark came here and he was 17 years old at the time. So that put me at about 10.
How old
He
is Mark
started
today?
working. What's that?
How old is Mark today?
Mark is 65.
And he started at
And
17.
yes. And so he's been here for all these years. He started in the shop as in the molder room, and then quickly had a desire to do more. Eventually became the shop foreman, and then I moved him into engineering, and now he's the vice president of the company. We all consider him, my siblings, my children, my wife, everybody considers him part of our family.
I don't want to brush over what an achievement and how much that speaks to your culture. Can you say more about the longevity of your employees and people like Mark? That kind of longevity goes obviously far beyond money and financial motivation. Say more about your leadership and the way that your family treats your employees that allows them to stay and keeps them motivated.
I really do consider each of these people that work here a part of our family. I say that to them all the time. We get together and quarterly for meetings, and I do breakfast for them and talk about where we're going, and I want them to know what I know. I think that it's important for them to take some ownership in what they do for the company and what they do for themselves. If you were to walk into our shop, there's a sign that is right in the middle of the shop. It's probably 4 feet tall and 8 feet wide. It's painted in white spray paint. On that is a big word, and the word is pride. It's how we conduct our business here. I treat each person here like they are a family member. I tell people all the time, especially in interviews, I always tell people, I'm going to be fair with you. And all I can ask of you is to trust me. I use the longevity of the employees as an example how I am fair and I treat people with respect and make them part of the family. It's important to me that each person here feels like that they are appreciated and that they're needed here. And the hardest thing that you do as an employer is there's been times where we've had to lay people off. And when you do that, the thought of having to let people go that you care about is the hardest thing that you ever have to do in business. I mean, and I always get everybody together and I talk to them and I say, you have to trust me. I'm here to, while there's a few have to sacrifice for the rest of us, we have to do what we have to do in order to be able to be successful and to grow our company. I treat them with respect. We do things on the side. We do some cornhole tournaments and in the summer at our picnic. And of course, I won, I think, 4 out of 5 years, the trophy with my partner. It's it makes getting up for work that much more enjoyable. And I always tell people, Corey, the best thing that I can do is to provide a paycheck for somebody. Not only are you caring about the person you're handing that check to, but also the people that they're responsible for. And it's not all about making a ton of money and banking money for yourself. It's about sharing what you have with all those who have given to you. I believe that I do that. Every time that I talk to them, if I'm out there and we're talking about something, I end with, I love you. Some people might say that's a little hokey, but it's the way I feel about each of those people that are here. I think that lends to the idea of them staying and wanting to continue to feel like when they go to work every day, that they're going somewhere where they're appreciated.
You've told me I love you too in work settings. The first time you said it, it caught me off guard, and now I've come to know and expect it. I love it as well. You mentioned something, the word pride. What that makes me think of you is you're based in Virginia Beach. One thing I've noticed about you but never asked, every email you send, you have a hashtag VB Strong for Virginia Beach Strong. Say more about Virginia Beach, the pride you have in your town and city, and what that means to you.
Hashtag Virginia Beach Strong is 5 years ago. There was a mass shooting here in Virginia Beach. And the city rallied around each other for strength. And the day after that happened, I sent an email to everyone that had an email address in the company, and I hashtagged Virginia Beach Strong. And I said, that needs to be in your salutation. Hashtags for VB Strong. My brother was one of the police officers that actually apprehended the gentleman who had done the mass shooting. That hit home personally with me because I love my city. I've been here my entire life. I think that it's a great place to live. We do a lot in the community. My wife and I, Kim, we're very involved in the community. We opened a restaurant in the community. We do a lot of philanthropic work, sit on many boards in the community and at our church. Kim is an elected official on the Virginia Beach School Board. We're invested here. If we want to be able to pass on the things that made our lives great, which was living in a great city, then we need to be able to invest and give back. And so that little hashtag VB Strong is my way of saying what I appreciate about our city.
Thank you for sharing that about your brother. Along the same lines of giving back to your community, can you tell us briefly about Desks for Success?
During COVID, I was wondering a way that we might be able to help our community. People were losing their jobs. They were getting laid off. I received a phone call from a good friend of mine who said that there was a local nonprofit that was looking for a company to help the children of our community by building desks. The name of the organization is CHIP. It's the Children's Health Investment Program. And she approached me. We're looking to build these desks. I looked at it, said, well, this is something that we can do and we can help you with. So I said, you really need all this equipment that we have in order to do this. This isn't something you can do with a jigsaw, a screwdriver, and a router. This is something that you needed, equipment for. He said, well, we need 200 desks. I reached out to 4 people in the community and I was able to raise the money in less than an hour. So we started on that coming Saturday. And what I did was went out to my employees. This is a way for us to be able to give back to our community. We have the choice this weekend to sit home, or we can come here and be together and help our community by building desks. That morphed into getting some national exposure. which was never the goal. I wasn't in it to make any money. I didn't make a penny on it. Every Saturday, we would build desks here for free. Mayor of Portsmouth came to us and asked if we could do 200 desks for his community. And we had a giveaway. And when we did that, we were giving desks away on a Sunday. And 2 lines wrapped around the school out into the intersection. And they had police out there directing traffic because the line was so big. And to see the smile on people's faces and the kids when you would give them a desk is something that is priceless. You can't put a price tag on it. But more to the point where we got some additional national exposure, and Mike Rowe reached out so that they were doing a documentary about people in the community that were giving back during COVID. Spent the entire day with me with a film crew. At the time, I was still handing out checks by hand and shaking everybody's hand at the end of the week and thanking them for their week's hard work. And well, when they came back, unbeknownst to me, had gone through my wife, Kim, and my daughter, Madeline, and set up this entire thing where people from the community were going to be here. And they set up our parking lot in the back of the building. And Mike Rowe talked to us and said he was going to donate a $20,000 check to our mission. And so we were on the YouTube channel, and the program is called Desks for Success. And it really says something special about the way that we could give back to our community. It was a special time for us. I would have people that would call and say, "Can we buy them?" I said, "They're not for sale. That's not why we're doing this. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm doing it to give back."
Thank you. That speaks to your heart and pride in Virginia Beach and comes full circle. Let's get into millwork business and entrepreneurship. Take me back. You're a multi-family generation business, and you followed your father into this business. What were you doing before millwork?
So I'll never forget, my dad called me up one weekday, and I was at home. Dad said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting ready to go out and hang out by the pool." And he said, "Well, how about if you come to work?" And I said, "I'm 13 years old." He said, "I know, but I need some help." So he came home and picked me up, and I started in the shop, sweeping floors, cleaning toilets, and loading the Coke machine. I'll never forget, my first paycheck was a little over $32. I made a copy of it on the copy machine that Friday when I got it, and started going to work every day. I enjoyed being around the industry. I enjoyed being around the people. And even earlier than that, so that was when I was 13. When I was 6, I would actually go into the mill with my dad on the weekends, and I would take scrap and I would break it up and make kindling wood out of it. And I'd take it home and I'd make little bundles of kindling wood and put them in a wagon and take them around the neighborhood and sell them for $1 a bundle. So I guess that's where I started with my entrepreneurial spirit. But fast forward again, 13 years old, working in the shop, and then started paying attention to what was going on in the shop. And started doing a little bit more. I was dressing material and starting to build some doors, not fully, but under their tutelage. Then I would run the molder a little bit, learn how to run some of the machinery, went away to college and came back, and in the summers started to learn a little bit more about the retail part at the time that we had, doing sales and then drafting. Then when I graduated from college, I decided that I wanted to come back here. Growing up, I would always see my dad at home bringing plans home and laying them out on the table, kitchen table after dinner, and doing takeoffs, and saw how much work that he was doing when we were at home. I thought to myself, going back to the whole thing of family, if there was a way that I could help my dad out, then I'd be able to give him more freedom. I decided I want to come back and work on the family business after I graduated from Notre Dame, and I did that. Started as an estimator. After estimating, I moved into project management, and I graduated in 1990. I started estimating, moved into project management probably in 93, 94. And then in 2000, my dad started doing a little bit less and started doing a little bit more of the accounting and some of the responsibilities. And then in 2010, I started buying my dad out. And now I'm pleased to say that my youngest son is with me now. He's been here since March and trying to learn the business himself. And so that's pretty exciting.
Generation 3 is coming in. Can you take us back? Do you have any memories of first millwork project loans and your dad standing over your shoulder, insisting you were doing it wrong. What was the first father-son business moment?
In order to get in this business, as you know, you're in construction. You got to know how to estimate. It all starts with an estimate. My dad said he was going to teach me how to estimate, and we sat down and I started taking notes and going through the process with him. And still to this day, use this template whenever I'm trying to teach on how to estimate. The best memory I have when I closed my first $100,000 job with a local contractor, and I got a call back, and I said to my dad, "Can you come with me?" And he was like, "Sure." So here I am, fresh out of college, put a suit on, I got my tie, all looking, dressed to the nines, and have my briefcase, and go to this contractor's office and get into the conference room, and the estimator comes out, start going through the project. And at the end, he said, "All right, we got a deal." And I'll never forget that day, because it was the first job that I took off really 100% by myself, but had a level of confidence that I was now really participating. And that was a good day for me, to know that I'd finally been able to get out of the nest. Then my first project management job was a hospital here in Norfolk, Virginia. And he took me out for the first time to measure the project and then help me see that through project management. We've done a lot of great stuff here. We pride ourselves on what we do, and we've really some really high end projects, and not only high end but high profile. So the millwork was great, but but the fact that they were coming to us because they were such high profile projects really meant a lot to me and how the company was built and how we developed the company. For example, we've done work in the Pentagon. A whole lot of people get to do work up there. We renovated the governor's mansion here in Virginia last time it was renovated. And then we've done a lot of historic work, especially up in the Williamsburg area, and some historic work here in our area. It all started, with wanting to help now, and me trying to teach Grant, a little bit about the business. And I think he appreciates what I've done for all those years. He never knew really what I did fully. And I think that maybe this gives him a little bit of a different appreciation for what I did for all those years. And now he's able to see it and share with his brother and sister about, Dad's really not that bad of a guy, maybe, he's got a lot on his plate, but I try and handle it with grace. And it's just, it's been a real rewarding career in business.
With Grant's third generation
Would be.
coming into the
Sure.
business, what's an old school technique from generation one to generation two to Grant to third generation? And congratulations on that. What's one old school technique in a modern world that you want to pass down and instill in him that your dad instilled in you?
Well, in today's modern world, everything's technology. And while that's great in a lot of aspects, there's nothing like taking a set of drawings, 24-inch by 36-inch drawings, laying them out on a table and doing a true takeoff on them. While that's a little nostalgic, it's still the way I estimate. I estimate a small job on the computer, but when I get a big job, there's nothing like rolling through the documents and rolling the pages back. I think it's staying true to your roots. The quality of passing on something is they mirror your image and what you do on a daily basis, and they see the good and the bad in what you do, and hopefully take away from the good and both and the bad, and work better, learn better, and become a better person and a business owner by building on the strengths and learning from the weaknesses, whether it be paper drawings or interaction with people if they're in a family business that always difficult at times. And one of the things I think that's important when you're talking about family businesses is being able to separate what you do on a daily basis from what you do in your home life. I know that you and Blair work together with your father-in-law. I'm sure that there's been challenges where you've been at a meal together, wanted to talk business, and try and separate that out. And that's one of those things, Corey, that when I got into the business, I was going to separate business from my personal relationship with my family. I've tried to do that to the best of my ability. And it's times it's been difficult. And I'm sure if my dad was sitting here, he would tell you the same thing. In family businesses, that if you can work your hardest at making that differentiation between work and family life, that it lends itself to a very productive family dynamic and relationship.
A lot of what you say is the world I'm living in. You know, my wife Blair and I are third generation. If Grant ever needs to talk from someone who's been in his shoes, you're like family. He can always call me and we can talk. A lot of what you're saying is great. You know, Joel, my father-in-law, is second generation. My office is next to him and I'll still hear him flipping through the pages. He's got the little takeoff wheel that beeps. He's got Bluebeam and all the software, but I'm like, dude, how much faster you can do this? But you know, I make fun of them, but at the same time, we've hired a couple new people and I've trained them the way he trained me, which is we print plans, go page by page, make notes in paper drawings. Obviously, we teach the technology and all the fancy stuff too. I agree with what you're saying. There is something to be said about in construction holding a set of blueprints in your hands a lot more than looking at a screen. And also to your point about family business aspect, worked for my father-in-law for 6 years now and my wife. So there's a lot of dynamics. The best thing I would say about my father-in-law, which I hope you and Grant will have, is we get in arguments and debates and I have different perspectives and we're business partners now from an equity perspective and we have 50-50 vote. Sometimes he and I butt heads and even Blair will come and stop yelling at my dad. And it's all good fun, but there's never been a time where Joel and I have left the office and brought any of that with us. We can be going to dinner with the family. It's no grudges held, which I don't think is talked about enough in family business because your son can screw up, the father can screw up, there can be arguments, but leave it on the field and you move on as family at the end of the day.
That's a gift. It really is a gift because I think that it's not always like that. Congratulations to you and Joel Blair for being able to do that because it's special to be in a business with your family and through the ups and downs. I mean, you're there for each other when things are good and when things are bad. And that's much more special is that at the end of the day, that you have somebody that you can count on without any question, their family.
Absolutely. So a couple of questions getting into the business. You make millwork, you manufacture cabinets, custom millwork, case goods that go in every building. How do you fight the bias that millwork is a commodity? You know, you're selling a product or a service that is the commoditized product. What would you say to that?
One of our taglines here is that we provide millwork of distinction. It's not something you can buy off the shelf, contrary to what many people would think. What we do from a professional construction perspective is custom. And what we do on one project is different than what we do on another project, whether it be colors, whether it be door profiles, whether it be how we address molding profiles, everything that we do is different. And we try and tell our clients, I guess tells the wrong word, inform the clients on the importance of what we do and how we do it, and try and provide them information to let them know that what we do isn't, again, off the shelf. I do tours with architects and designers, and I've started doing it with contractors. Well, I'll bring contractors in here and give them an opportunity to walk through the shop to see how things are done, especially the younger generation. It seems like they're behind the computer screen and they think that that's where the answers lie. And it's not. The answers lie in our business on hands-on, being physical. AI can solve a lot of problems. AI can't solve that person running a molding or building a cabinet. There might be the robots that can do that. There's nothing like putting your personal touch on that product. And that's what we do. When you bring people through here, they see things from a totally different perspective, create these relationships with people like yourself and access to let them know that what we do is different and special. We're going to partner with you to provide you with a product that you're going to be pleased with and that your customer is going to be pleased. Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy and they're not happy, we're not going to be successful. And when we partner together, like we have over the years, that partnership, you bring us to the table knowing at the end of the day, if somebody can do this, I know that Premier Millwork can do this. This is not an option. We've been in conference calls together with people and you said, George could do this. And that right there in itself is what we try and do, and how we try and let people know that what we do is special. And we did a hotel in Pittsburgh. We've done a hotel in Vegas, Reno, Denver, done several in Florida, Columbus, all these different areas with you guys. What technically pads your resume, but gives people an understanding of what our capabilities are, and how, because we are developing a partnership and a relationship that is conducive to positive results in our industry, is where it's going in this industry. You guys do great work in the hospitality industry, and we're proud to be a partner with you along the journey.
Two parts to that. We've brought you on the road with us across the country in our traveling hotel renovation, and I do get some pushback or from some owners. They're hiring us as general contractor to do a project in Pittsburgh. You're in Virginia Beach, or did Santa Barbara with us as well. You're in Virginia Beach. Let's take Santa Barbara, because you look on a map of where those two places are, and the owner's questioning me, you sure the mill worker that's going to make the front desk and the bar and the lobby and the slat wall, you sure you want to use a guy in Virginia for California? And I'm like, I'm sure. And just like you say, I have never doubted that George can do this. And our business as a general contractor, we're literally called general. We're generalists. We specialize in nothing other than hotel renovations. My job is to know you, the specialists, and build trust and credibility. I don't have to think twice about the millwork when I have Premier and George on the job, because I know it's going to get done and get done right. And there's going to be problems and issues like every project, but there's something we said about the relationship and the trust that this is the person, you want on your side and in your team. Speaking about your shop, I had the opportunity to come to Virginia Beach and see your shop. It was eye-opening. Your point is spot on in terms of the next generation. I sit in front of a computer screen, and when I walk around your shop, it's overwhelming. It's impressive. You get a sense of family and pride. One of the words that comes to mind is complicated. I'm looking at all these machines and all this wood and the cutting and the size and the precision, and these are projects that are going to get installed across the country. My first generation, to tie this all into a question, Paul Sharfin, which is Blair's grandfather, had a saying that I have framed in my office: construction is complicated. And that was running through my head the day I was with you, and I'm watching these machines and how what project goes where and who's working on what, and how it's all going to come together with the colors and the staining and the logistics. And while construction is complicated, two ideas can be true at the same time. And as much as construction is complicated, there's beauty in simplicity. And simplicity is sort of the ultimate sophistication. How do you balance those two things of the level of craftsmanship and complicated things that you deal with? You're delivering a simple experience to the end user that here's a beautiful desk, a bar, whatever the custom millwork is.
Kind of ties back to the people that we have here. We start out from an engineering perspective, trying to put together something that takes a complicated and makes it simple. They do a great job in providing detailed drawings so that when it gets to the shop, their goal is that there's no questions. When it gets to the shop, we have these experienced people that have been here for years that understand what we're trying to accomplish. And they're able to take what's on a piece of paper and make it real. And then in turn, send it on a truck 3,200 miles from here or 870 miles from here, and take it to a team like Soap or Umberto and put that set of drawings in their hands with our product and make it simple for them to be able to put it together. And at the end of the day, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, but it's also one of the most interesting parts of the business and how we do it. And I always tell our people here, Corey, I said, why is it that we can do a job in Santa Barbara, California, and not have any issues whatsoever? We can load a truck here, deliver it out there. The job goes in, no issues. We don't have any materials that we need that aren't set out there, but we can't do a job that's 10 minutes from here without going back 3 times. And that's where you talk about the complication part of it. The complication part is to simplify it through making sure that everything is done properly and that everything's on the truck. And then once it gets to the job site, then the hard part's done. Then it's just a matter of regurgitating in the real world what we've put on drawings. But when we're here and we're doing things that are so close, they forget the simplicity part of it. They make it complicated. And so, the goal is to do like we do when we do long distance stuff with you, and to make it so that they do their part here to make your job easier. And that's why you come back, is because you don't want to deal with somebody where every time there's an issue, you have to call 3, 4 times and say, hey, this is missing. Where is this? Why isn't this right? It all starts from the beginning. It's the engineering part. And then that from there on out, it makes things simple.
Absolutely. So you and I are both running small businesses. Like, there's a small business truth. Everyone always talks about in small business, relationships matter, but the majority of people just want the lowest bid or the cheapest price. Can you speak to betting on relationships and putting price aside, and why that's worked for you in the long term?
Sure. Price isn't everything. If you're going to be successful in anything that you do, it's not always about price. It's about the people that you're dealing with. It's about the confidence that you have in the people that you deal with. And kind of goes back to what you said to earlier, a hotel that we did in Pittsburgh together. When you went to them and you were basically, that was our first big project together. And you went back to the owner and the owner said, really? They're in Virginia. Like, how are they going to be able to do this? And you said, don't worry about it. They got this. These guys can do this. And I remember putting like a little dog and pony portfolio together for you to take to them, to say, look, these are what these guys do. And they can do this. And it's that relationship that has blossomed for us for, like you said, 6 years now. And so it's not always about price. Saving $2,000 on a project that you're going to have $10,000 worth of headaches for isn't worth it. And I'm going to tell you, we're not the cheapest guy in town, but you're not paying for just a product. You're paying for a relationship that's going to allow you to do your job and make it easier in the long run. And that's priceless. You can't put a price tag on the lack of stress, especially in what we do and what you do. We're usually at the end of your projects, and we're not the guy that comes in day one. We're not laying foundation. We're not painting the wall. We're manufacturing. All of our stuff has to come together in the last 2 to 3 weeks of a project. And if you go the cheap route with somebody that doesn't understand it, because they don't, to them it's a job, then you're not going to get the same results. Perfect example. We just finished a project with you guys in Rochester, and on that project, we get a phone call from Misha. We need some stain. We need to do a little bit of touch up on this. And can you send us some stain? And we have a walkthrough on Monday. And I said, sure. And I said, we'll have it to you. You'll have it tomorrow. I personally went out and took the cans to my finisher, the 2 cans, and said, here, we need to mix some stain and put them in here. And I took them to Samantha and said, can you please get these UPS'd out? They need to be on this job site tomorrow morning so they can finish this job. Now, that doesn't always happen. You can be dismissed and, well, okay, well, it's just a punch list. But that's not the end of the day. It's not just a punch list. It's you being finished. It's you being able to turn your product over to your customer and client and being able to do that, knowing that you've done everything you could to complete their job on time with the quality that they expect and that you expect.
You've certainly made us look good over and over again, George. Some people want construction to be black and white, and the reality is it's gray. I've been in a lot of situations between an owner, a designer, and the details are not good. I have an owner telling me, just make it look good. And you are one of the few people of any trade that I know I can go to George. You just need to make it look good. And I know that you're going to know how to make it look good. And, there's something to be said on that. And I can't put a price on that kind of trust and relationship.
The other thing is, Corey, I'll say this, is that one of the greatest honors that you can get in our business is when you have a client that asks to do something for them personally, whether it be in their house or in office. And I take that with the utmost compliment when that happens. We were, you were building you were renovating a house. And he came to me and he said, hey, I'm doing some work on my house. Would you consider coming up to Columbus and working on that. And within a week, I was on an airplane and flew up there, and we met when I went through everything. And at the end of the day, provide you with something that, I always say I want you to walk in there, and you had said to me on other occasions, you walk in, every time you walk in your kitchen, you think of me. But that is the greatest compliment, is when not even, it doesn't even have to be a client, but a friend calls you to say, "Can you do something in my house?" I believe when we're friends, but we're also business acquaintances as well. And that is the greatest compliment, knowing that the people that you care about, whether it be in business or through friendship, care enough about you and believe in you to be able to provide something that they're going to have in their house or in their business. And it's going to make a part of that. I always say to you, my hope was that the work that we did in your house made it a home. And that's what, my philosophy is with everything we do. Being said, I tell my people all the time, if you wouldn't put this in your house, then why would you expect that we would put this on the project or somebody else's house? To go one step further, on everything we do, I have our employees sign the back of their work. They put their initials on the back of their work because they take ownership in it. And that's a little simple thing. By taking ownership in that, it goes back to that sign that we have hanging in the back that says pride. They've taken ownership of it, and it adds a special touch.
George, you're not just a subcontracting vendor. You're a mentor. You're a friend. You become family. And I asked you earlier about some of the old school things you would want passed down from generation 3 to 2 to 1 to your son Grant. One of my favorite parts about our job as a general contractor at Axis is I get to build a team. There's nothing that gives me more pride or joy knowing you're competent and do a great job, but that my team, the layers that make up the Axis team, because someone is hiring me because of my connections, resources, and ability to assemble a team, just like a general manager would build a football roster. Got to put the right people on the bus and right positions and who's going to play well together. I'm not saying it's simple. It's very complicated, but nothing gives me more pride, to use your word, than knowing part of the Axis team is built up of vendors like you and projects display it. The quality is there. But more importantly than that, part of the reason I got into this business and left corporate America is to operate my own family business and grow it, but to be able to grow and support family businesses like yours. It's a very rewarding, probably most rewarding part of the job is the people. And I think back to our generation one, Paul, he'd go to Bob Evans every morning when he was doing local work in Columbus with same guys and contractors and talk their BS. And, but that's relationships. That's a dying thing. I really hope those values get instilled into your son and the next generation. And it's something I try to live by.
You've done a great job with that as well. I mean, honestly, the team that you have works well together, not only with you and your staff, but with others. And in an industry that takes for granted the people that are working under them, you're one of the few people that say thank you for what we do. And that's what makes this more of a family type relationship than just a working relationship. And you appreciate all those things that go into making something happen, whether it be millwork or whether it be the painter or the electrician or the plumber. You develop that team not only internally with great people who see your vision, but also with a team of subcontractors that you can depend on and know that at the end of the day, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that your end user and client is proud of who they hired. So if they're proud with you, then that obviously trickles down to us. And there's no doubt that that is the way that you operate your business.
Thank you. I've got 2 more questions, and then we're going to end with a series of rapid fire that are going to be fun.
Okay.
The first question is one of my concerns, which I'm very happy to hear your son is coming into the business. I have a concern about construction in general as a whole, and then I have more of a concern at your level of architectural millwork. How do we get the next generation to go into the trades like architectural millwork? I would imagine if your son didn't have you as a dad, he wouldn't be going into millwork. How do we get the next generation engaged and see the opportunity in construction and the trades? One of the things I'll tell any 22-year-old who will listen to me, for what it's worth, the 4-year degree to leading to some job and dead end place, if you would go into a trade and learn a skill, plumbing, electric, millwork, I completely agree with you that there's a lot of other white collar jobs that those are going to take first or change or make more efficient. I'm a proponent of AI, but there's certain things you do with the hands on touch that I don't see enough enthusiasm for the next generation from a financial perspective. You're going to be able to write your own ticket if you're good because there's going to be so much demand and so little supply. That's just economics. And nobody is going into the business from what I can see. And I'm hoping that we run into this place that AI will expedite, that there will be a shift of more people going back into the trades. So I know that's a long-winded question. How do we continue on this legacy and get the next generation excited and involved in our business?
So that's a challenge. You talk about sometimes you see the train coming and you know it's coming and you can't get out and it's a train wreck and you can't get out of the way. And so what are you going to do? I agree with you that it's getting more and more difficult to find skilled individuals. Again, not just in the millwork trade, but in all the other trades. We've attempted to try and bring in from the local Votex. I try and do a once or twice a year where I'll bring in some of the Votex students and do breakfast for them and then take them in the shop and let them see what we do to try and bring them in as interns. I'm trying to put a program together as well where to help get them credit for school that they can come here and work half days. And I'm not looking for free labor because I'm going to pay them, but to try and get them interested so that if they understand what we do and how we do it, and it's not all just hands-on stuff. There is technology involved in this. I mean, you walk in the back, which you've done, we have computers out there. I mean, these machines are all run by computer. They need to be programmed. They need to run. And so there is, for that person who wants to get into this business from a technology standpoint, there is that opportunity. Or from the hand standpoint, if I can get these younger individuals to come in here and to be part of the team and work with their hands, then we can successfully transition to the next generation. The challenge is that a lot of these individuals they don't see the long-term impact of what they're doing. They see everything, their short-term thinking is, well, I can go over here and make the same amount of money stocking shelves at Walmart or at Chick-fil-A than I am when I'm going to come start for you. And your work is harder than that. And my response to that is always, well, when you're 30, do you still want to be serving chicken nuggets at Chick-fil-A or stocking shelves at Walmart? The answer is no, they don't. They have to have a purpose. And so I always encourage them and say to them, look, if you come here, you have a home here for life. If you want to come here and work, unless you do something that's really bad, unless you decide to fall off the wagon, I'm not going to leave. I'm not getting rid of you. I'm trying to build you a home that you can have from now until the day you decide that you don't want to be here anymore. And by trying to encourage them to take that leap of faith and stay and continue to develop their education in this industry, you're never going to be able to solve the problem. And so my hope is that I can convince, and my goal is to try and bring a minimum of 2 a year over. In addition to that, one of the things that I've done is I've reached out to our local sheriffs and trying to partner with them to do a workforce development program through them to try and bring in some of these minor offenders that their choice is to sit in prison or to go work. And when they come to work, they're going to be able to earn some money that they can send back to their families, or that they can help pay off a fine or whatever they have done in the community, make their restitution. But they can come here and they can learn a trade. So maybe when they get out, and now they've got somewhere to go. And every year I set a goal for the company on what I'm going to do this year. And 2 years ago, it was to develop a better network of installers. And this year it was to bring in younger talent. And I can say with a smile on my face that this year I've brought in 3, and they are working out very, very well and excited to be here. And I think they're going to be here for a while. I've also gone through several that didn't make it for whatever reason. I have 3. So my goal of 2, I've exceeded that. And next year I'll try to pick up another two. As you talk about the next generation, one of the things that I've sat down with Grant talked about is that just like you've had to do in your business, you have to start, Grant, you have to start thinking about if this is something that you really want to do. And I'm not forcing you to do this. I'm not forcing you to be here, but if this is something you're interested in and you want to move forward with this, you need to start thinking about how you're going to bring in your people. Who do you want to bring in here? How are you going to do that? Because you want to be around people that are your own age. I mean, when people walk in here and they see that, the good portion of our workforce is in their 50s to 60s, they're like, I'm not doing this every day. And I'm going to be around people that are my own age, that I can go out and have a beer with after work. I think that if we can continue to get into the local market from an education standpoint in the school system, and then have some creative ideas like my one with the workforce development with our local sheriff's department, that maybe I'll be able to continue to find people that would take an interest and come and stay, like the people that I have here that have been here for 30. It all comes back to how you treat your people. If they feel like they're part of your family, they're not going to want to go anywhere else, because the grass isn't always greener. Anytime that people that have left, that have been craftsmen, they always tend to come back. They flock back here, and it's great when they come back. The old prodigal son, story from the Bible. They come back. It's great to see them. I always welcome them back. But they come back for a reason. It's because you treat them right and you take care of them. You're trying to build something bigger than just a company. You're trying to build a work family. I don't think it's insurmountable. And I think that if people start being a little bit more creative, that we can solve it.
I admire so much of what you do and who you are, George, and hopefully you'll feel the shot of fountain of youth or rejuvenation with teaching your son the way that Joel got with me. I'm excited about that for you. You mentioned a point there about workforce development and second chance programs with people who've had trouble past. We have a great opportunity as construction business owners to employ those people and give them another chance, second chance, and a fresh start in a career path. We have some people like that, and there's some of my favorite guys that we got. And not only are they appreciative, but if you can look past a troubled past, we're all humans and make mistakes. They have to show that they're a good person and on the right path to recovery. But those people may not even be able to get the Chick-fil-A job, but they can come work for us. That's actually a real opportunity and a way of giving back. I think you and your son will figure it out and get the next generation in. I hope I'll be working with, the third generation for a long time to come. Nothing would make me happier.
Me too.
Let's end with some fun. I got some rapid fire questions. You can answer first thing that comes to your mind. Or what is your favorite hotel?
I'm a Marriott guy.
Any specific?
So, you mean like in a destination or just in general?
Favorite hotel you've been to? Favorite project, favorite place to visit, any way you want to take that.
Wow. But I go to a lot of hotels. I go down to Florida a lot, to Disney World, and with Kim, she's a big Disney person. We usually stay at one of those properties there, either the Swan or the Dolphin, which are great properties. The Gaylord properties are fabulous properties. Been in Nashville to the Gaylord properties there. Been to Florida, the Gaylord properties. They're spectacular. I get a nice appreciation for those when I go there, because I can look at all the millwork and try and see and figure out how they did things way back when they didn't have all this machinery that we had.
How about craziest piece of millwork you ever made?
We did some onion domes on a Ukrainian Catholic church in Baltimore. It's probably the craziest thing that we've done, just from the standpoint of size and how visible they are on the building.
All right, my next one's a little spicy. I'm a Hoosier, and we got a big game coming up. But I live in Columbus, Ohio, and there's an old folk tale around Columbus, Ohio that says, I'd rather lose to Michigan than beat Notre Dame. Along those lines, the question would be, what hits you harder, the sweetness of winning or the sting of losing?
Oh, the sting of losing. I hate to lose.
In the same way.
Yeah, I hate to lose.
All right, last two. Are you the next King Neptune of Virginia Beach?
Not that I know of.
You'd have my vote if it counted.
Thanks.
All right, and then to wrap up, in the spirit of hospitality, what's the kindest thing anyone's ever done for you?
You've done so much. I honestly can't just say one thing. The relationship that we've had, I guess I can sum it up in a relationship. How about that? It's the kindest thing you've done for me is to have a relationship. Um, you, we have shared together many great stories, the birth of your children, the successes of our families together. It's rare that you find people of your caliber in not just in the industry, but in life. For that, I'm truly grateful. It's goes back again full circle that when you deal with people that you have an appreciation for, you come to love them as family, and for that, I love you and your family. And so the greatest thing that you've done for me is provided me a relationship and allowed me to be part of your family.
Thank you. We love you too, George.
I'm getting ready to cry.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate your time coming on. Thank you very much, George.
You're so welcome. You're the best.